Yes, guys. Yes, people. Welcome back to Chelsea Fan TV. Welcome back to another episode of 5 Things We Learned. As you guys already know, this is a show where we go through all the major talking points of the most recent Chelsea game. This one being yet another loss. Yet another loss in typical Chelsea fashion. This time, Southampton at home. Bottom of the table, Southampton at home. And they've done the double on us as well, by the way. What was the stat? 1 clean sheet in the last 28 games before facing us. A third of their Premier League points this season have come against Dr. Chelsea. We're going to delve into everything regarding this game, all the cons, the pros, if there is even any. We're going to discuss Graham Potter. We're going to discuss everything with this dumpster sesh that we call Chelsea Football Club. So we're going to get into all of it. Before we start the video, like, subscribe, check out my personal channel as well. And yeah, Chelsea 0, Southampton 1. I don't know what the formation was that we set up. I don't understand the lineup, even though I was glad to see Havertz get finally benched. But some of the decisions that were made were absolutely mind-numbing. And we got dominated at home. Again, this time by the team at the bottom of the table. I said there'd be no excuses if we don't get a performance in this game. We didn't get anything. We got dominated defensively. The midfield was getting torn apart. We could barely get the ball forward to our attackers. And when we did, we weren't creating enough. It was just not good enough. Some of the substitutions, they did help us, but it was too little too late. We shouldn't have been in a position to go 1-0 down anyway. But the players that were on the pitch, they weren't good enough. They didn't perform well. And they're not exempt from criticism either. We will get into the players too. But from the manager, I needed to see a lot today. And you know, I've been saying it in all my streams, in all my videos, Southampton had to be 3 points. They had to be convincing. And I was going to make a lot of judgments based on Graham Potter, depending on what the result would be. Potter, I have been patient. I have waited until we've got better players in, and I've wanted to see improvement. I haven't seen anything. And from the teams that we've been playing, the likes of Fulham at home, West Ham away, they're in the relegation zone. Southampton at home, literally bottom of the table. Dortmund away, a team that we should be still getting a result against. And we're not doing it. We're getting dominated every single place that we go. And Potter's decisions aren't helping. So as of right now, I can't trust Potter. Everyone who's Graham Potter out, fair enough, I completely see it. Because he's not helping himself. He's not helping himself at all. This game was so important to him. So important to his future at Chelsea Football Club. And he rests our 2 best players for it. They weren't even injured. And they weren't injured. He just chose to rest them. Even though we have an entire week before our next match. Even though Thiago Silva has played 2 games in a week before. Numerous times and shown he's able to do it. He has one of our highest minutes last season and this season. But we chose to rest him. Reece James, resting him. Like, I get that because we started him the last 3 games off injury. But why did you start him? Like I was saying for the Fulham game, it should have been Chalobah that started. We did not need to rush Reece James back when we had 2 clean sheets in our last 2 games. There was no need to do it. Reece James got rushed back and he's looked a bit shaky as a result of that. Poor management from the manager. Looking further forward, Mason Mount at left wing. Like, what? Who? What? Where? When? Why? When has Mount ever been good at the wing? And he's been poor all season, to be honest. But why would you put him out of position on the wing when everybody knows he's poor there? That makes no sense to me. Some of the decisions as well in-game didn't make any sense. Fafana was our best forward. Even though he had to play left wing shifts because Mount decided he wanted to be up top. So then we take Fafana up and then we use Mount as a false 9. For what? Like, it's constantly like the wrong decisions, or there's one good thing and then there's 2 bad things to negate the one good thing that we've done. And it's like, what are we doing? Potter isn't helping himself. And I can't defend stupidity. I can't. Because I've said 40 points for the last month or so. It shouldn't be this hard to get there. 12 points with the run of games that we've been having. We should at least be very close off. We are 9 points off. 9 points off, and we're nearly in March. And we still haven't guaranteed our safety. That's not good enough. That's not good enough, and that I cannot defend. Now, Potter has to do a lot to turn it around for me personally. I need to see a run of games, a run of wins, and considerable improvement before I even sit there and I talk about Potter being a long-term manager for us. Because right now, I don't see it at all. Moving on to Fafana, I thought he was actually pretty good for us with the limited amount of time that he spent on the pitch. I thought he gave us some much-needed physicality in the attack. Hold-up play was decent at times. Needed a little bit more of the ball, but that's not really his fault. I don't know why we benched him. Kai Havertz as well. I wanted to talk about Fafana and Havertz for my second point, because I actually thought Havertz weren't that bad off the bench. And personally, I think we should keep him in that role. I think when you start him, he shows absolutely no awareness and constantly makes the wrong decision. But when you bring him on to inject a little bit of energy, he shows it. He does show it. So for me, for the considerable future, I would be starting Fafana and I would be bringing Havertz off the bench. Because that works for me personally. I think you get the best out of both of them that way. Plus, I want to see how Fafana is with a little bit more service. Because he just got nothing. Absolutely nothing that day. But yeah, Fafana and Havertz were good. Sterling was good off the bench too. Sterling was good off the bench. I didn't really have an issue with Potter's subs. It was just taking Fafana off that didn't make any sense to me. That made absolutely no sense to me at all. Everything else I was fine with. But yeah, Fafana and Havertz, small positive from the game. And I think that's it really. Actually, no. My third point, Enzo Fernandez. He did the best that he could. And even he looked a little bit sloppy, but he did the best that he could defensively, swept things up well, tried to control the tempo of the game a little bit, even though he had nothing around him to deal with. Fair play to Enzo Fernandez. That was a good performance from him. My fourth point I wanted to get to was our attack, just in general. Because I hinted at this in the Dortmund game, and I'm seeing it again, where we either can't create or we cannot finish. We never find that happy medium. The first half, we couldn't create a thing. We were barely getting the ball forward. When we were doing it, we weren't making anything proper or clear cut. Nothing looked cohesive as well. There was no patterns of play. But the second half, when we brought in the substitutes, we looked a lot better. They injected some energy into the team. I do believe part of that's because Southampton did sit deep too. They got their goal. They got what they needed. They didn't need anything else. But we looked a lot better going forward then. But then it's just the ball went everywhere except the back of the net. You're having last man clearances. You're hitting the post. You're hitting the goalkeeper. You're hitting our own players. But the ball isn't going in the back of the net. It's like we are just destined to never score from open play. Literally just destined. It's never going to happen. But yeah. First half, poor creatively. Second half, the finishing's just crap. It's just typical Chelsea. Just typical Chelsea. My last point, I want to talk about the defence. Because without Thiago Silva, it looks like an absolute mess. I haven't seen Badiashile look so sloppy for Chelsea. And find it coincidental that it's the one game that we dropped Thiago Silva. Koulibaly, rash. Absolutely rash. Didn't get taken off at halftime for being crap. He got taken off because he was on a yellow, but he looked shaky as hell. Azpilicueta, shaky as hell. Also, best wishes to Azpilicueta as well with that kick to the head that he took in the second half. Looked very, very scary from what we saw, but I think he's going to be okay. Best wishes and condolences to Azpi and his family. But yeah, he still looks shaky in spite of that. Even the left back, Chilwell, didn't really look all that, but I won't speak too much on him because he had to deal with that 6'8" beast that they had up top. And he's never going to win anything with him. So I'm not going to have too much energy for Chilwell. But no Silva, no James, no Partey in defence. Simple as that. I don't know why we benched them when we have 2 wins in 15. But that's for Potter to figure out. That's for Potter. But yeah, that's going to be it from me. Big up everybody that's locked in. Like, subscribe, all of that. You already know what to do. And as always, up the Chelsea.